Hey now, we are getting over, and I am the Silver King, Adam Silverstein, here to lead you through these hard times. Dada, with your 2025 WWE Evolution Instant Analysis. That's right, Getting Over is back once again for the third time this weekend and sixth time this week to break down everything that happened Sunday night as the second edition of WWE Evolution emanated from Atlanta, Georgia. We have a hell of a show ahead for you. And off the top, I do want to remind you that we have two other instant analysis podcasts in the feed already. The first from AEW All In Texas, the second from WWE Saturday Night's Main Event, and NXT Great American Bash, the latter of which, by the way, was published at 4 a.m. Eastern. It is our goal here at Getting Over to deliver performance-enhancing audio straight into your ear holes, and that is what I hope we did for all of you this weekend. On that note, I hope all of you remember that here at Getting Over,
I happen to love the number 5.
and I truly hope you do as well, because for $5 a month or $50 for the entire year, you can become an official Getting Overhead. Just visit buymeacoffee.com/gettingover. Sign up. Not only will you get the fastest 5 minutes in professional wrestling, instant reaction audio to every major show, not only will you get exclusive news analysis posts, but you will be financially supporting the continuation of the Getting Over Wrestling podcast. This is a free show. It's an ad-free show. We do it because we love it, and we do it because we love all of you. You can contribute a subscription. You can buy us what we call a meat over there. Just contribute some beer money to the show, whatever you want to do. We would greatly appreciate that support. And if you can't do it financially, then here's what you can remember.
It's all about the 5.
I mean, seriously, folks.
Stop being marks for yourselves and go back to being a mark for me.
Go back to being marks for the Silver King Adam Silverstein, Vintage Chris Vanini, and the Getting Over Wrestling podcast in totality. Head over to Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Leave a 5-star rating on Apple. Take a little extra time. Leave a 5-star written review. If you do, it would mean a lot to us. And we would also read it live right here on the show. So with all of that out of the way, I do need to do a little bit of housekeeping here at the start of the show and let everyone know that Vintage will not be on tonight's episode. I know you're disappointed. I'm disappointed as well. Unfortunately, something serious happened in his life, and I don't think he's going to be upset with me sharing this, but he and his wife lost one of their dogs. And of course, that's a very emotional, terrible situation. They're dog lovers. They raise them, they foster them. And anytime you lose a pet, especially one that you've had for years, it is, of course, a horrible situation. So Vintage is not on the show. And I suggest, if you want to send him some well wishes, hit him up at Chris Vanini, Twitter, Blue Sky. I'm sure he'd love to hear from you. But a really shitty situation. He was not able to watch Evolution, certainly because of that. Had no expectation that he would. So we're not going to be cracking open a cold one tonight. Silver King will be operating solo. But I will tell you what's happening as I speak. Right next to me, and you all know this, longtime listeners of the show, Silver King does not consume caffeine. But I have what I guess is called a Dunka Latte from Dunkin'. It is delicious, first of all. Second of all, they have this cookie dough syrup, or whatever you want to call it. I got a couple pumps of that in here. I drank half of it this morning because I got about 4.5 hours of sleep coming out of everything that happened on Saturday. I put the rest in the refrigerator, and I'm drinking it right now while we're doing the show. So the Silver King, despite the way I might sound, because I am exhausted, I'm caffeinated, and I am ready to cover the entirety of WWE Evolution. But I do also need to remind you to subscribe to us on YouTube at Getting Overcast, and please follow us on social media at Getting Overcast on Twitter, at Getting Over on Blue Sky. You get episode drops, news, analysis, highlights, all of that good stuff. You can send in questions and comments for the show, and you can vote in our pre- and post-show polls surrounding premium live events and pay-per-views. We posted one before Evolution, another after. We will discuss both of them in the final segment of tonight's show, where we give you a grade for WWE Evolution 2. With that out of the way, let's get to your WWE Evolution 2025 instant analysis. And by the way, for anyone who might be a first-time listener, first of all, make sure you subscribe. But what we're about to do is we're going to break down every single match, tell you what happened, give our analysis and review of it. At the end, the Silver King will give a match grade. And then, as I said, we'll wrap up the entire show at the end. If anything happened that was direct build from SmackDown or Saturday night's main event, we will cover that as well. So WWE did cross 8,500 tickets sold for Evolution. Not sure if that number included combo tickets from Saturday night's main event. If it did not, they're probably over 9,000, maybe even approaching 10,000. So that was hugely positive given where the show was a week ago. Disappointing that it doesn't seem like they did actually hit 10,000 or more. But as I said on the Ultimate Preview, WWE did not give this show the best chance to succeed, combining a week build for the two title matches specifically with a short period of promotion. And it was, of course, the third event on a weekend head-to-head with a Beyonce concert and the same weekend as MLB All-Star events that were also in Atlanta. Even with the week build, the card was stacked. And my thought going into the show was, okay, the women deserved a larger audience, but I have a feeling that this audience is going to get a hell of a program. Now, WWE kept the Saturday night's main event set up for Evolution with Joe Tessitore hosting as Michael Cole and Wade Barrett called the action. A bit disappointing that there wasn't a female announcer as well. Stephanie McMahon wound up co-hosting with Tess, and she, of course, got praised as the reason for the evolution or revolution, which WWE obviously has been saying for a decade now. This could have been a great opportunity to feature someone like Lita or Beth Phoenix. Just that way, there was more of a female broadcasting presence on an all-female show. It really was the only thing missing, but alas. Let's get into the match-by-match breakdown, and we're going to start somewhere that you may not have expected, particularly if you didn't watch Evolution. And while I want everyone to listen to the entirety of this episode, and I really hope you're not pausing right now, if you didn't watch Evolution, I highly suggest watching at least the main event before listening. But if you did, you'll understand why this match is where we're starting, and that's Jade Cargill against Naomi, no holds barred. Now, during Saturday night's main event, Naomi attacked Jade in the crowd. That led to a brawl ringside. Naomi got chucked over the announce table. Jade screamed at a security guard who looked like he wanted to shit himself. Naomi took Cargill down with a Thez press, jumping off that announce table, then stood on the table screaming as Nick Aldis grabbed the mic. He introduced a special guest referee for their match, Bianca Belair. She came out wearing all pink, and I kind of feel weird doing this on the Evolution Instant Analysis, but facts are facts.
It looked good, but she's got me saying, hey now!
The intensity of this brawl was off the charts. Fans went wild for both of them, and the setup was great, using one of those scanning the crowd for celebrity segments to lead into this. For some reason, I'm not sure why, I thought they were going to announce like a badass legend as an enforcer, like a Beth Phoenix, but Belair works obviously as a referee. It was interesting, given she's trying to come back from a hand injury, and as a referee, the one thing you have to do is use your hand. What's funny is that Jade and Naomi was one of the two matches that didn't need any further build for Evolution, and yet it was even hotter coming out of Saturday night's main event. The crowd exploded for Bianca, which was great to hear, especially given the responses she was getting on the road to WrestleMania, and ultimately, it made sense why they put so much into this match. Huge pop for Bianca when she came out on Sunday. Naomi's presentation was perfect. Jade didn't get the full effects like she normally does. Her gear was sick, but it's weird, like her entrance has progressively gotten worse ever since she debuted. Cargill took an hour to set up a table. Then Naomi took an hour to throw weapons in the ring. She got speared. Jade brought out a toolbox only for Naomi to catch her with a tornado DDT into a chair. Jade punched Naomi with a chain, then grabbed a staged camera for a shot. She wrapped a trash can around Naomi for a pump kick, then tried to drop the toolbox on her from like 10 feet in the air. Naomi dodged, then drop kicked Jade into the front of the announce table, which sparked because she hit a television. She tried to use the leg of the table, of another table, to dig into Cargill's head, but she never really came close. Though she did a great heat seeker on the apron, she used a chair to pounce Jade off the apron, through a ringside table, and then she hit an X Factor into a chair. Then Naomi put Jade on a table with a chair on top of her, only she respawned, Cargill did, for a chair shot, and then she turned Naomi around on the ropes for avalanche Jaded through the table and the win. Really interesting booking here because Naomi straight up dominated Jade for 12 minutes, only to lose in the final 30 seconds. I was also surprised that Bianca did not factor into this at all. She was basically just there. I could have reffed the match, and it wouldn't have made a difference. This was probably one of the biggest, I don't want to say disappointments on the show, but one of those spots that like fell below my expectations because I thought it would fully exceed their WrestleMania match. That's not suggesting it was poorly done, but the focus was purely on the spots without much wrestling between those spots. And because there was no like additional storyline development or anything, I was left asking, like, why? Like, why was Bianca here and why did they do this? Interesting that Naomi got a better response than Jade at large sections of this match, but you got to give Cargill credit for working really smooth and safe here. She also took some real big shots, and the avalanche Jaded at the end was exactly how it needed to conclude. Now, as I said on the Ultimate Preview, with Cargill as Queen of the Ring and being the number one contender at SummerSlam, she absolutely had to win this match. There was no way Naomi could win. And here was the note I wrote down at the end of this. I'd be absolutely floored if Naomi doesn't cash in the briefcase at SummerSlam, costing, Jade her title opportunity and then winning the title on the big show. Ultimately, this was a B match. I'm kind of between 3.25 and 3.5 stars, but I'm at 3.5 as of now. It just didn't come close to an A or A- or anything like that. And again, I need a little bit more wrestling between the spots. The spots were great. There just wasn't a lot of transition between them, moves. I know with Jade, you kind of want to hide her sometimes, but it would have been nice to get more. That brings us to the Women's World Championship. IYO SKY defending against Rhea Ripley. This was obviously the main event of the show. WWE hammered us over the head with the fact that Rhea had never defeated IYO for 2 full hours on the countdown and then again immediately before the match. Ripley in 4K during the intros was something to see. IYO got chance before the bell. It was even early with counters and avoidance moves. IYO used her taunt, so Rhea did it back at her a minute later and actually got booed. They agreed that they respect each other but needed to fight. Sky hit a shotgun dropkick, springboard, moonsault outside, flying double knee takedown into a rolling cover, and then a 619 style head scissors into an apron head bump. Ripley caught IYO with a pump knee on the apron and then flung her into the announce table, the barricade, and the steel steps in succession. IYO eventually rallied with a perfect tornado DDT. She delivered 10 forearm shivers and then flipped Rhea over in a really sick spot with a standing double stomp, German suplex, tope suicida, top rope missile dropkick, bullet train attack followed. Ripley prevented over the moonsault with an attempted German suplex off the ropes. Sky flipped out and later hit a perfect poison rana for a 2.8, leading to dual chance. Rhea stopped over the moonsault, folding IYO in half with a razor's edge, adding a Liger bomb for a 2.8. Sky avoided Riptide and a superplex. Ripley avoided a springboard dropkick. Jessica Carr took the shot right to the chest. Distracted by her own miscue, Sky got caught with a headbutt and Riptide with no one to count. Frustrated, she added another razor's edge, and then she booted IYO SKY over the barricade into the crowd, trapping her in a handrail for a bunch of punches and a headbutt. They found a stack of road cases and then a table with 2 solo cups on it, which is always funny when they set up a table that's going to get broken, or you think it's going to get broken at least. IYO stopped a powerbomb, knocked Rhea down from the second road case, climbed atop a third, and then did a huge flying crossbody. Then she stood on Rhea's body across some stairs, which kind of looked gnarly. Sky did a sunset flip over the ropes outside for an eventual ringside powerbomb. She then landed over the moonsault for a thunderous 2.9 false finish. That kind of turned the crowd, and suddenly Rhea was getting more chance. Ripley banged her head, IYO's, off the ring post, leaving Sky prone for an avalanche Spanish fly, completely unexpected. And just as they were both down, talk about unexpected, Naomi suddenly ran to the ring after 25 minutes with the Money in the Bank briefcase, and she officially cashed it in. She immediately hit IYO in the head with the briefcase, threw Rhea into the ring post, hit her split-legged moonsault finisher, and got the 1-2-3 to become the new Women's World Champion. She grabbed that title, held it high with the most devilish, evil face, perfectly fitting with her character.
Ah! Yes! I love that!
To quote George Costanza, I'm speechless. I have no speech. This was a perfect wrestling match with an all-time swerve finish, creating a moment that will live in WWE history. It should not be lost on anyone who watched the show or anyone listening to this show what it says to have Naomi, specifically Naomi, cash in during that main event, standing on top as the star of Evolution, particularly when you consider the way she left WWE, how she returned on her own, and the level of match that she won on Sunday night. It was brilliant booking. Our expectation for 2 months has been that Naomi would cash in the briefcase and cost Jade a title. There is not a single wrestling analyst or fan who expected to end this weekend with Naomi, not Mercedes Moné, entering Monday as a world champion. It suddenly made all the sense in the world why she dominated Jade the way she did in No Holds Barred, despite the loss. Naomi's character work since this heel turn, it's been a 10 out of 10. Her wrestling has been at a career best level. The gimmick is straight nails. It was the most surprising cash-in that we've seen in what feels like forever. And while, yes, of course, as a purist, I wanted IYO Rhea to get the squeaky clean finish that it deserved, the brilliance of using Naomi in this spot, assuring neither Sky nor Ripley beat the other, that's really tough to beat. Let's talk about the match. IYO and Rhea were incredible. It was on par with the WrestleMania triple threat, if not better, given their allotted time. For both of them, it was their best singles match in WWE. Ripley sold her ass off the entire time. IYO proved once again she's the greatest women's wrestler in the world, but she said it with a freaking exclamation point on Sunday night. And Rhea helped her to that end, by the way. Ripley worked the heel side of tweener to perfection. IYO was an incredible babyface side. And the twists and turns of the match, it left you legitimately wondering who was going to win the entire time. There were vivid moments where I was positive Rhea was winning, others where I was shocked that IYO was suddenly going to retain. The only criticism that exists have nothing to do with the match. They're the lack of immediate build over the last month and Paul Levesque not bothering to book Sky in anything since WrestleMania. Yes, she beat Rhea for the title. Yes, she won an epic triple threat at the biggest show of the year, which was exactly what I wanted to happen. But she did nothing after that until losing the title here. Now, perhaps she was hurt. That is certainly possible. But on the surface, she got done dirty. End of day, though, it has not hurt the way she is being perceived by the fans. And I love that this event ended without Rhea winning the title. She still needs extended time away from a strap. And with the audience and the crowd in Atlanta giving both of them a standing ovation. In terms of what's next, this threw everything into chaos. Not only for SummerSlam, but all the way to Crown Jewel, which again is in Australia and will not feature a women's championship match where either of the titles can change. IYO and Rhea could tag on that show. Imagine them against Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss at Crown Jewel. That would be massive. There was another thought I had during this match. You all often send us emails and DMs asking a basic question. Who's your favorite wrestler? We get them all the time. I never put it on the show because, at least for me, that answer changes based on who is doing the best work at what time. After Sunday night, I can definitively say IYO SKY is my favorite wrestler. Okay, what else? I forgot to mention this. I loved how we neither got finisher spam nor false finish spam. There was one Riptide without a count where Rhea did nothing wrong, and then one connected over the moonsault where Ripley got to look strong with the kick out. The Spanish Fly was super unexpected, and the cash-in was well done as well. Naomi waiting until the announcement was made and the bell rang was super smart to not create a DQ. She could have. It wouldn't have mattered. She could have still cashed in. It was better not to do it that way. It's crazy that a match to this level ended with neither of the competitors that started it winning, and the result not being a no contest. Rhea and IYO together, they are straight up wrestling soulmates, yin and yang. The two best in WWE by a tier, and among the best duos in the world. I saw some listeners on Twitter calling them The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels. Yeah, pretty much. They have a chance to put on the best series of women's matches in WWE history, and Rhea still hasn't defeated IYO. So much for those teases being a telltale sign for the 2 hours before the show and the immediate, video package right before the match. I wouldn't mind if Rhea never beats her, to be honest. She can beat everyone else. Just don't beat IYO. Literally the only way this match could have been better was with 5 more minutes and a squeaky clean finish. But the cash-in was so unexpected, such a great swerve, it didn't diminish the match the way it might have if it was teased and we kind of expected it the entire time. In fact, the cash-in was the lone booking move that basically made everyone happy. There was a faction who would have been mad if IYO lost, a faction who would have been mad if Rhea lost. No one's mad that Naomi won. It's brilliant. Possibly the best cash-in since the heist of the century. 5 stars, A+, match of the night, and I hope this doesn't get some of you angry, but it's the truth. It's the match of the weekend. So much so, it made me rethink one of the grades I gave out on Saturday. It's also a legitimate match of the year contender, one of the best women's matches in WWE history, and a match that could have main evented probably like 90% of WWE PLEs that have ever been run. It was special in every single way. And if you say Silver King, that's a great breakdown, and I love your grade. Why didn't this get 5 stars plus? Well, because I'm working on no sleep. I spent the entire match writing notes so I could bring you this show. I need to watch it again if I'm going to go to that level. But it was absolutely fantastic in every way. A killer main event. Like I said, match of the year contender, historic WWE women's match. I can't give it any more platitudes than that. Not what is now Monday morning, just after midnight here on the East Coast. Let's move to the match that opened the show. Intercontinental Championship was on the line. Becky Lynch defending against Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. Top tier video package, by the way, for this match. It made it feel epic. Sasha Banks also got a shout out here. Bayley appropriately was the first woman out on Evolution. All 3 of them had eye-catching entrances, and the crowd went wild just at the bell. Lyra did her inverted, crab submission early. I'm not a fan of that move. Becky prevented a tornado DDT off the announce table, chucking Lyra into the steel steps and ramming Bayley into the barricade with a Bexploder. She sold a knee and an arm immediately. Valkyria splashed the Legends to break a finisher counter sequence before booting Lynch's head off and doing a pair of fisherman suplex bridges. Bayley broke one of them with a perfect flying elbow. Then she sunset flipped Bex into Lyra, who was in a tree of woe. Bayley took her out of that position with a hanging springboard elbow drop. Great spot. Bayley tried to counter disarm her into Rose Plant. Lyra broke that struggle with her flying leg drop. The peripetia, I believe is how you say it. Becky caught them for a dual DDT, regular and inverted. Valkyria countered manhandle slam only to get flipped over and then eat it seconds later for a broken fall. Lynch and Bayley beat the shit out of each other before Bayley hit that new sick swinging slam, which should be her finisher. She also did Bayley to belly for a broken fall. Valkyria caught a motionless Lynch for Nightwing, another broken fall. Lyra and Bayley countered each other's finishers before Bayley hit Rose Plant, but Becky pulled her out of the cover with a perfect counter into a float-over backslide pinfall to retain the title in 17 minutes. These ladies put on what's called an FTMF match to start this show. Follow that, you get the point. The varied one-on-one storytelling, given the complexity of the feud between the 3, that was on point. Despite the exceptional wrestling and decisive victor, it did not feel as if anything was solved between them. What really stood out was the presence these 3 women commanded and their ability to never leave a single moment without action. That's extremely tough to do, even in a triple threat. Every sequence had a purpose. The offense was divided equally among the 3. They all got time to shine. Bayley probably got her best babyface reaction since winning the title at WrestleMania, including loud chants. And Lyra has moved herself to a level as their in-ring equal, despite being a relative neophyte. The finish was just icing on the cake, smooth as butter. The only way this could have been better was if it got more time in a more prominent spot, and probably if there was a title change, because you get that big moment at the end of the match. I'd have loved to see them get 25 minutes, but I have a feeling we're going to see them match up again later for a blow-off, perhaps at SummerSlam. I had sky-high expectations for this match, and it met them perfectly. Didn't exceed, but it met them. 4.5 stars and an A. It set the bar for the night with an emphatic slam right out of the gate. Any other year, this would have been the women's triple threat of the year, except obviously we got what we got at WrestleMania. Before we move off this match, Bex cut a social media promo I absolutely have to play.
What did you expect? What did you expect? Evolution. I'm the definition of evolution. When I came up here 10 years ago, ain't nobody thought that I was going to be the defining moment in this business that I am. I am the Intercontinental Champion. I am the greatest to ever do it. It's not just me saying it. Other people saying that you could call me Becky Hogan. Becky Hogan. I ain't Becky Hogan. I'm Becky frickin' Lynch. And I'm going to keep doing this until there's somebody better than me. But spoiler, there ain't gonna be.
Major facts right there, Bex. No question about it. Loved how she threw frickin' in there, obviously, for Seth Rollins, and also just because it works. She is Becky frickin' Lynch, after all. I love that, and her social media game, of course, is on point. Her promo game is on point. Remains the GOAT women's wrestler. No one better than the man. Let's move to the WWE Women's Championship. Tiffany Stratton against Trish Stratus. Wade Barrett interviewed both women in the ring on SmackDown. Tiffany explained that she chose Trish, that way she could beat her and be considered a GOAT. Trish said that she'll leave with the title, leaving Tiffy with nothing. Stratton had a decent line saying she knows about Stratus's legacy all through VHS tapes. Trish put Tiffy over for doing a great job, but guaranteed she would win. That brought out Naomi with the single best look she's had yet, a caution tape bodysuit, and then of course she had the briefcase too. Jade immediately attacked her for a one-time pull apart that ended that segment. This was far, far better than last week. It still left a ton to be desired. Stratton worked heel, and she sounded much better in that role, but there was something extremely regimented and scripted about the segment. It really prevented it from flowing. Tiffy is far too robotic on the mic, and Trish, in an interview released earlier Friday before SmackDown, she was spot on criticizing WWE for not allowing this to have actual build. As we said on the Ultimate Preview, the rest of the card, 5 of the 7 matches had legitimate build. The 2 women's title matches, they had history, but they didn't have direct build, and of course, the truncated timetable before the show was super unfortunate. Also, Trish wore a My First Crush, tight white top, and I'm frankly not sure that this woman has ever looked better than she did on Friday night.
Gonna look good, but she's got me saying, hey now!
I was up all night.
Hey, no matter what, we're having fun on the show. This was the mid-show match. Trish did Stratosphere off the apron ringside and a tornado DDT back inside. Tiffy did her handspring back elbow and end of heartache, Roderick Strong's move, which she should keep using, absolutely. Plus a swanton bomb for a false finish. Trish did another Stratosphere off the ropes, plus chick kick. Tiffy blocked Stratisfaction, hit her rolling senton, but Stratus got knees up on prettiest moonsault ever and then hit Stratisfaction for a false finish. Trish went for a moonsault, but Tiffy answered with double knees of her own. Then she hit an Alabama slam plus prettiest moonsault ever to retain the title. It was supposed to be the cartwheel Alabama slam, but she had to call an audible. They were just way too close to the ropes. Tiffy left the ring after the bell, while Trish stayed alone. She got a standing ovation and thank you, Trish chants. She also took a bow and left. It didn't seem like a retirement or anything, and she said on the post-show she wanted to kind of soak in the moment just in case it was her last match. But the way she wrestled here, there's no way it can be. Now, this only went 9 minutes, maybe 10, but it was a hell of a 9 minutes. And I'm not going to fault WWE for booking a shorter match with a 49-year-old who wrestles one time a year. Trish was simply great bell to bell. No notes. She's wrestled better matches the last few years than during most of her active career. It's honestly remarkable. Stratton didn't exactly wrestle heel, but she was the heel side. And while she gets major pops, it is so obvious that she needs to get turned that it is ridiculous. There was obviously no expectation of Trish winning, but I will say, I wouldn't have hated Stratus getting the dub, Stratton turning heel, and winning the title back at SummerSlam. That would have been a lot more interesting. Trish, there's no reason that you can't believe her as champion, especially given the way she wrestled here. And it would be a huge win for Tiffy to overcome Trish. And Tiffy, you'll remember, she didn't get hurt when she lost her NXT title to Becky. She wouldn't have gotten hurt losing this title to Trish, especially if she would have won it back from her at SummerSlam. So, missed opportunity is what I'll say. Too short to go higher than this, but I gotta tell you, for Trish and Tiffy, I'm at 3.75 stars B. But again, it's completely okay that it was short. Women's Tag Team Championship, Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez defending against the Kabuki Warriors, Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, plus Sol Ruca and Zarya. Bliss and Flair were sarcastic with one another backstage on SmackDown in a fun little segment. They're trying to get over an Allies of Convenience name or gimmick, which is simply horrendous. It's also ironic that WWE might do a team name that shorthands to AOC, but I digress. This can't be their name. It's on a shirt. Like, if you want to do the shirt and sell the shirt that way, cool. Just give them a good tag team name. You'll sell more merchandise with that, I promise you, than a shirt that says we're not friends, we're allies of convenience. It's ridiculous. So we had Perez, Kairi Sane, Bliss, and Ruka in a 4-way match on SmackDown. Only Alexa got an entrance. The others happened during a break. Roxy came out to the Judgment Day theme. Soul did not get a video package or anything before debuting, which was hugely disappointing. I would have preferred 30 seconds of that as opposed to Bliss's music. Despite only getting one of 4 entrances here, WWE went to another commercial after 60 seconds of action. I shit you not. At least it was picture-in-picture. Ruka hit a handspring tope con hero to start. Perez did her double springboard moonsault. Soul caught Bliss and Perez with a double soul snatcher, which got a great pop. But Raquel Rodriguez put Roxy's foot on the rope. Raquel then picked up Zarya, booted Asuka in the face, and dropped Zarya onto the announce table. This was an NXT callback spot that was fantastic. She badly needed that. Flair threw her over the table, and Joe Tessitore did a 10 out of 10 sell job, a full-on wipeout. Top-tier announcer bump. Bliss blocked Insane Elbow with double boots and hit Abigail DDT, getting the win. Kairi botched the way this move was taken, and Alexa had to check on her briefly after the bell. The only negatives were Soul not getting introduced and Sane's botch at the end. I'm not sure what's going on with Kairi, but she's making mistakes in every match these days. She's a great wrestler, so it really does not make sense. B-level action here. Tess made me laugh out loud. Ruka had a star-making debut. Flair got cheered. Rodriguez looked like a hoss, especially going up against Zarya like that. It was badly needed. And this was a strong way to build the title match, given the teams really had not interacted previously. I also did want to mention, this was the most human that Charlotte had come across in maybe her entire WWE career. She showed tons of personality on Friday. She looked like she was having fun. She dressed like a cowgirl instead of sticking to the queen stuff. It was crazy refreshing. Now to Sunday. This was third on the card. Soul got a huge pop at her entrance, furthering proof that this version of Charlotte is different. She entered first and came out mostly to Alexa's music. They didn't have matching gear. That was disappointing. Only 2 legal women at a time, which you know is not my preferred style. There was a loud "We Want Charlotte" chant, which if you told me in April that I would hear that in 2025, I'd never have believed you. She needed a change for so long. It only took 1 month of her showing personality and working with Alexa for that to pay off. Bliss got cut off from Flair, leading to a loud hot tag. Charlotte was on fire. She turned Roxy inside out with a spear. Zarya got to show off her power with Soul, hitting a keg stand on the Warriors. Flair booted Zarya off the apron, only to eat a perfect Soul snatcher. Tagging became somewhat optional at this point. Ruka escaped the Abigail DDT before Charlotte tackled Alexa, saving her from a spear. Zarya sniped Soul instead. Flair ate Pop Rocks, and Rodriguez powerbombed Bliss over the ropes for a holy shit chant. Roxy hit a tope suicida on Charlotte, and then Raquel hit a one-arm Tahana bomb on Soul to retain the titles. While it did evolve into a tornado-style match, I didn't have any problem tracking who the legal women were. They made some comment about that on commentary, but the tagging was clear. The referee slapped her hands, and they did exactly what they needed to do here. This was the match it needed to be, specifically for Rodriguez and Perez to solidify themselves as tag team champions. They not only needed to win, they needed to win decisively, and that's exactly how the finish was booked. It was not happenstance. Raquel was dominant. Roxy took out the only woman in Charlotte who could have broken the fall. Soul flashed massively. The reaction to Flair and Bliss, that was incredible. Zarya showed off her dominance. Rodriguez looked like an absolute beast, as she has for the last 10 days, a huge improvement from the way she was working previously. It was really only the Warriors who didn't stand out in this match, but that's okay. This was actually one of Kairi's best efforts since returning. It felt like she was proving something at the bell. Not to steal Jacob Fatu's line, this match was all gas, no breaks. I do wish the tagging was more deliberate, but that's the problem with the 2 legal women rule. You want to have more action than that can actually permit, and in order to make that happen, you just have to not do tags. This was a fantastic tag team 4-way. The crowd played a huge role in keeping the energy up throughout. I would have gone higher with a stronger finish, but it was 4 stars, A- nonetheless. I would not be surprised if Charlotte and Alexa win the titles at SummerSlam. I also wouldn't be surprised if IYO and Rhea win the titles at SummerSlam. I could definitely see either of those happening. I could see them fighting each other at Crown Jewel, like I said earlier. NXT Women's Championship, JC Jane against Jordynne Grace. For those who may have missed Great American Bash, Jordynne and Blake Monroe, who is Mariah May, they beat JC and Fallon Henley in a tag team main event. It was Blake who pinned JC. On the Evolution Countdown, Grace asked Monroe to get her back ringside during the title match because she would be outnumbered by Fatal Influence. And as soon as I saw that, I'm like, oh, all right, I know the way this match is ending. This was appropriately second on the show. NXT chants at the bell. Both of them got great reactions. The crowd was super hot for Jordynne. Grace did a sick tope suicida, a perfect spinebuster early with Jane hanging her neck in the ropes. Jordynne cooked JC onto her back, rammed her backwards into the corner before delivering a package sit-down powerbomb. She hit World's Strongest Slam but missed Vader Bomb. Jane outsmarted Grace through the ropes at a perfect draping, swinging neckbreaker. Jordynne came back with a stretch muffler suplex. Superb spot. JC answered with an avalanche hurricanrana and a perfect running knee for a false finish. She directed Fatal Influence to distract. JC got the title thrown to her, only to get rolled up in a close false finish. Monroe crushed Jasmine Nix ringside as she picked up the title, but Blake held it herself, a harbinger. As Henley distracted the referee, Monroe smacked Grace in the back with the belt as she hit the ropes, and Jane landed a rolling encore to retain her title. Blake then handed the title to JC, smiled, and walked out. Influence just shrugged. Here's the thing. Monroe is a much better heel than face, but she had been completely over since debuting, and the turn would have hit a lot harder if it came after she was good for a longer stretch. So while this was telegraphed from the second Blake hesitated but accepted being in Jordynne's corner, and again when she gained possession of the belt ringside, it was a bit frustrating. Furthering my disappointment is that Jordynne had more momentum in this match than the rest of her WWE tenure combined. Strapping her up here would have been massive. I also would have liked the parallel with the NXT title changing hands on Evolution 1 and Evolution 2. So it felt to me like a missed opportunity to cement Grace. That said, the match was great, and the women not only acquitted themselves well, but NXT too. It was an incredible showcase for the women on that brand. That's on par with the main roster most of the time. Plus, Grace came off like a beast, and her feud with Monroe might be insane. Don't discount that. The finish here has me more borderline than I thought I was going to be coming out of it. I'm going to say 3.75 stars, B+. It's possible I moved to an A- on rewatch. The action was frankly terrific. Like, JC continues to show out. She's really impressive. The finish was not even that drawn out. It happened with the quickness, which, given what happened here, was super positive. Let's move to the final match that we need to discuss, the Battle Royal for a number one contendership at Clash in Paris. And I believe it's a contendership for the title on the winner's respective brand. Notable competitors in this match: Nikki Bella, Stephanie Vaquer, Julia, Chelsea Green, Nia Jax, Jada Parker, Tatum Paxley, Natalia, Zelina Vega. There were 20 total. Again, those were the notables. The NXT women got to cut promos ahead of this match during Great American Bash. This was penultimate on the show. Interestingly, Candice LeRae waited for Nia to walk down. They came together. They haven't really been interacting on TV recently. Huge pop for Stephanie. Less, but still really nice for Julia. She came out last as champion. There were no surprise entrants here. I know some people were bothered by that, but the entire point of Evolution was to show the strength of the active women's division. You had Trish and Nikki on the show, and that was enough. They were both still able to go. They did great. You don't need to bring in other women, especially those who are not crazy over with the fans. Tatum got eliminated in 5 seconds by Nia. Seriously, bell rang. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of the ring. You cannot help but laugh at that. I cannot help but be upset at that. Lani got caught by 2 NXT women ringside, so she jumped onto the announce table and did a handstand back to the ring, which, of course, we've seen before. Vaquer pulled Niall over the ropes with her legs, so Julia just casually walked up and shoved her out of the ring. It was kind of funny. Steph set Nikki up for Devil's Kiss, only for Chelsea to break it up, which was a major heel move. Stupid worm spot with the dungeon dolls, though. It led to Jada eliminating Natalia and then Candice. I want to just pause quickly. 2 things. Number 1, dungeon dolls. I'm okay with the team. It should be Maxine learning from Natalia, not Natalia learning from Maxine. And really, this Natty character that's operating on Independence and on Josh Barnett's Bloodsport and all that, that's what she needs to be in WWE. I just don't understand why she's completely different people on indies and in WWE, with the indies getting the better version of her character. I digress. The second thing, Michael Cole got Candice's name wrong 3 times in 2 different spots. He called her Candice Michelle. He was messy throughout the show. This was the worst by far. He also forgot the rules of a battle royal. Parker got rather unceremoniously eliminated. Zelina ran Julia into the post and booted her off the apron. Concerns me a little bit that she might get another title opportunity when she should be away from the United States Championship. Piper Niven beasted B-Fab out. Vega fought but got press slammed by Lash Legend, leaving her in a final group with Nia, Nikki, Piper, Chelsea, Stephanie, and Lola Vice. I loved that Piper was in that group. Green mocked Bella, only to get speared before Nikki and Lola danced. Gooners loved that. Niven took out Vice with Vicaire and Bella teaming up to toss her over. Stephanie finally got Devil's Kiss on Chelsea, who sold it amazingly. Of course she did. Nikki hit Rack Attack for an elimination on Chelsea. Nia then did Nikki's dance, only to eat a Hurricanrana. Lash booted Nikki off the apron and also mocked the dance. That left the final 3. So Lash Legend eliminated Nikki Bella. Legend lifted Jax over the ropes like a body slam style before a combined elimination with Vicaire. That got the crowd real hot. Vicaire hit a 619. Legend caught a springboard with a Hurricanrana, bringing them over the ropes onto the apron, where Steph converted her into Devil's Kiss and then just lightly kicked her off the apron to win the Battle Royal and advance to Paris. Stephanie McMahon came in for a post-match interview, for some reason asking Vicaire how it felt in Spanish. Vicaire said English is not her first language, but wrestling is her first language. That's a straight bar. She thanked every woman who came before her, saying they can now make history. Vicaire promised to keep working hard to ensure everyone remembers her name forever. What was hysterical about this is that she apologized for English not being her first language and then cut a near perfect English promo. This woman is unstoppable. The surprise of this match was Lash getting into the final 2. That was great for her. She flashed against Nia, looked to be Vicaire's equal in the final stretch. I could definitely see a call-up coming sooner than later. Not that dissimilar from how Perez was booked when she was kind of ending her time in NXT. I think it still took her like 3 or 6 months to get called up. And if Lash is on that same trajectory, that would be the Royal Rumble. Makes a lot of sense. Vicaire was the obvious winner from the second she was announced for the match. I almost would have preferred she not be announced for the match and be like the surprise last entrant. It just would have been a little bit more exciting. It was a rather middling match with a great finish. Not just the Devil's Kiss, but the final 4 sequence. It was the weakest on the card overall, but it's extremely hard to do a Battle Royal, especially when you're mostly using bottom of the roster and younger stars. For a grade, it's right between 3 stars B-, 3.25 stars B. I'm kind of in between there. I also want to shout out Wade for giggling while saying bouncy bouncy during Devil's Kiss, like he was a little kid, just jumping up and down, enjoying the excitement. It's not quite the Booker T Gooner level sell, but it does work. Huge flip here with Vicaire now scheduled to face Naomi in Paris, you would think. Obviously, that could change in the next 7 weeks, but I'd be surprised given the title just flipped and you're not giving Naomi that kind of moment at the end of Evolution to have her just lose the title on SummerSlam or a random Raw. That wouldn't necessarily make sense. I did want to go back to the Stephanie McMahon of it all. You know that meme picture of Steph that circulates online? It's a stereotypical white woman saying grassy ass to a waiter after getting their food at a Mexican restaurant. That's exactly what she was like in this segment. It was simultaneously hysterical and eye-rolling. It really felt like she was trying to get babyface rub off Vicaire, which she doesn't need. People love Steph, and yet they still did this. They had her in the early portion of the show. They were really trying to shove down our throats that she's responsible for Evolution, and almost like she's responsible for Stephanie being in WWE, Vicaire that is. And obviously, look, let me be clear. When it comes to Stephanie McMahon and the women's revolution and the initial evolution, she definitely made an impact. There is zero question about that, okay? Would it have happened without her pushing? Probably not. But she also simultaneously is not responsible for the incredible women's wrestling in WWE. There's a lot of other people who deserve at least equal, if not more credit, primarily the talented wrestlers who forced the issue, and the fans, by the way, who forced the issue and made people pay attention. I also wanted to mention before we get to our grade segment and wrap this up, there was a tremendous video package on the WWE referees. Jessica Carr and Daphne LaShawn specifically on the countdown. There's other women referees, but they were considered the trailblazers. Big E also went out of his way to mention tons of other women within WWE who have major roles. I loved that they all got shout outs and such. And Big E also went on, I won't call it a rant, but like he was preaching basically after Evolution following the IYO SKY Rhea Ripley match. And even though it parallels a lot of what I said earlier, it was so emotional and so passionate. I thought it was worth playing here on the show.
Big picture for a second. This industry is one that will often break your heart. It will disappoint you. It will sometimes have you questioning why you still watch wrestling. Nights like tonight remind you, they make you feel something. I damn near broke out in tears watching that match out here. I'm telling you, watching it at home, I'm sure it was an incredible experience. Being here was a spiritual experience. We saw two women put their bodies on the line. We saw two of the very best at their craft give everything. That, I'm telling you, match of the year, we're talking about their WrestleMania match and how incredible that triple threat was. Put this match up against anything you'll see all year. These two women, we're going to talk about Naomi, but let us put our hands together. Let us stand on our feet and salute you, Rhea Ripley. Thank you for what you did here tonight. Thank you, IYO SKY, for your dedication to your craft. Thank you for giving your all. Thank you for your sweat. Thank all the things that these women sacrifice every single night. What they did here tonight, they left us with something truly special that I will not forget for a very, very long time.
Man, how can you not be romantic about professional wrestling? I'll also mention Tori Wilson, Jacqueline, Maurice, Jazz, Ivory, Melina, great to see her, Molly Holly, Alundra Blaze, Medusa, Leilani Kai, Mark Henry, I know he sticks out, and Vicky Guerrero. They were shown in the crowd during the show. Loved that Mark got a shout out. He's been hugely supportive of women and recruited many women for WWE. Extremely questionable move, spotlighting Vicky. You can Google her to understand why I say that. Also, Metro Boomin, Lil Yachty, and Quavo were in attendance as well. WWE always brings them out, gives them tickets when they are in Atlanta. So that wraps up our WWE Evolution Instant Analysis. It brings us to our final segment, grades for the show. And the first grade I want to give out right off the top is to the Atlanta crowd. I said it on Saturday night's show. I'm going to say it again now. This crowd was phenomenal, but on Sunday night, this was an A-plus American crowd. They did an incredible job. It sounded like 20,000 people were there, despite it being less than 10,000. Shout out to ATL. You totally deserve it. I cannot wait to get back there. Probably won't happen for a couple years. Cannot wait, though, to get back to Atlanta. In terms of our actual grades for this show, we need to start with the pre-show expectation grades. As a reminder, on the Ultimate Preview, Vintage came in with an A-. Silver King was also at an A-. My specific grade was a 92 out of 100. All of you, our listeners, are Getting Overheads, got the opportunity to vote on Twitter at Getting Overcast. Your votes were 49% A range, 46% B+ to B, 1% B- to C+, and 4% C or lower. I could not understand that 4% for the life of me. This card was absolutely stacked. Even if you don't like the build, the card was stacked. That averages out to a 91.4 out of 100. It rounds down, to a 91 or an A-. So extremely similar to where both of us were, but 1 point lower than the Silver King. In terms of post-show grade, again, Chris did not watch, so I don't have his grade. Hopefully he will have watched at least the key matches by the next time we tape the podcast. And if so, we will make sure we get his thoughts on everything. I'll start because
this is my show. My show.
And what I'll say straight up off the top is that Sunday night, guaranteed, we will get a third Evolution. What I would do if I was WWE is make it an every other year event like the Ryder Cup. You could even rotate it with a different special event in the off years, like a Worlds Collide or something like that. And this also probably guaranteed that event, next time they hold Evolution, will sell out as long as it's given a chance with its placement on the schedule. Now, Triple H said after the show, he's not exactly sure about the future. It depends on demand, and true equality means not needing this show. He referenced what some other women have said previously about not necessarily wanting an Evolution. They just want a main event, regular, premium live events. And that's exactly right. But as I said previously, if fans demand it and you can sell 10,000 tickets, you do it. But this is also incumbent upon Triple H to book the women in main events of major shows. Women should be main eventing the Royal Rumble or SummerSlam, or let's say even if not those shows, Clash in Paris or Backlash or whatever the case might be. And it's extremely rare for that to happen. They main event Raw and SmackDown and NXT all the time, NXT premium live events occasionally, but not really WWE main roster shows. So if you're going to talk that talk, you need to walk that walk. On Sunday night, there was not a single down match. Top tier booking across the board, even if you didn't love, let's say, the match quality here or there. I felt justified with my take on the Ultimate Preview that the criticism of there being no build was wrong. Again, it was really just the two title matches that did not have recent build, despite both having longer term storylines that were touched on in the matches being made. This is probably my frontrunner for PLE pay-per-view of the year, along with All In, depending on your taste. It's certainly the best WWE PLE top to bottom since WrestleMania 40. I'm at a 96 out of 100. An A, the highest A you can get, certainly below, though, an A+. All of you, our listeners, are getting overheads. You got to vote on Twitter again, at Getting Overcast, and the numbers were definitive. 78% A+ to A, 21% A- to B+, 1% C+ or lower. I don't know who the hell those people are, but this is the biggest margin of A+ to A since WrestleMania 40. So all of you put your money where your mouth was, and you agreed with the Silver King. Ironically enough, it averaged out to a 95.59, which of course rounds up to a 96. So we were perfectly aligned that this was a high A show. Two final points I want to make as we close out. Number one, the men of WWE, they need to step their game up, and WWE needs to give everyone, men and women, the opportunity to wrestle these types of matches regularly on TV and PLEs. Number two, the women of WWE, they need booking consummate with their talent. It's better than it's ever been before in many ways, sure. They get more TV time and longer matches and more main events, no question. But there has not been a dedication to women's storytelling the same way there has been with the men. And that's truly the missing piece in WWE right now. Levesque and the main roster, they need to learn a lesson from this show and really NXT the last 2 years. Women's wrestling is the trend. They are compelling characters. The women in WWE are better than they ever have been before. And every single time WWE has put effort into the women, it has been rewarded like it was Sunday night in Atlanta. Make the effort. They will pay you off every single time. And that wraps up this edition of the Getting Over Wrestling podcast. We will take a second look at WWE Evolution along with Saturday night's main event this Tuesday on our WWE Weekly Breakdown episode. Of course, we'll touch on everything else that happened on SmackDown and the entirety of Monday Night Raw as well. The build to SummerSlam officially begins with one match, or I guess a couple matches because there's some number one contenderships and stuff already in the books. Don't forget, we have 2 instant analysis episodes already in our feed, one from AEW All In, the other from Saturday night's main event, and NXT Great American Bash, which I do not want to downplay. That was an excellent show, and if you didn't see Ethan Page against Ricky Saints, make sure you go out of your way to watch that match in particular as well. We'll be back Tuesday with WWE, Thursday with AEW and NXT. Don't miss those. Please subscribe to the podcast if you're a first-time listener, but do us a couple other favors as well. First, please remember,
It's all about the 5.
leave us those 5-star ratings on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. At least do that. Please leave a 5-star written review on Apple if you can. We will read it live right here on the show. Subscribe to us on YouTube at Getting Overcast. Full-length audio episodes, full-length video interviews. Follow us on social media. I've said it like 6 times. At Getting Overcast on Twitter, at Getting Over on Blue Sky as well. You get episode drops. You learn when episodes go live. News, analysis, highlights, all of that. Send in questions and comments for the show. We will do our best to read them on the air this week when we do our second looks. And you can also vote in those pre- and post-show polls. We would greatly appreciate you guys doing that. And also, please remember,
I happen to love the number 5.
hope you do as well. $5 a month, $50 for the entire year. You can become an official Getting Overhead. Just visit buymeacoffee.com/gettingover. Sign up. You'll get all that bonus audio, the fastest 5 minutes in professional wrestling, instant reactions to every major show, and exclusive news analysis posts every week. Plus, again, we would just appreciate your financial support. It's a free show. It's an ad-free show. We bring you all this performance-enhancing audio because we want to fill your ear holes. This, folks, concludes 6 episodes in 6 days right here on the Getting Over Wrestling podcast. And the Silver King, on his birthday week, just a couple days from now, gets to do just 2 shows for you. None on my birthday, and get to take a break. Extremely excited about that. We appreciate you being with us all week. I appreciate you staying up late on Saturday night and Sunday night to listen to this show. Or if you're listening to it during the week, that's great as well. But folks, it is officially time for the Silver King to rest his voice, sign off, and leave you with just 3 final words. Bye for now.